This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Hey everyone, I'm your host Dani, and I'm the first-time reader going through this series chapter by chapter. As always, there's no spoilers past the chapter we're covering, and that means it's totally safe for first-time readers. I'm joined by my co-host Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's guiding me on this journey. We'd like to thank and acknowledge our executive producers, Brandy and Erik Kirkwood, Sean McGuire, Yanis, LightBlindedFool, Green Man, Margaret, Big C, Bennett Williamson, Hannah Green, Noralia, Geof, Searles, Erik Reed, Greysin, Ishara, Ashlee Bradley, Helena Jacobsen, Matthew Mendoza, Cyndi, and Daniel Moore. And now we're really excited to thank some of our patrons who renewed their annual pledge for a whole nother year over at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. And this is really exciting because we have some of these renewals going back to 2020, 2021, 2022. So people who have been with us for 3, 4, 5 years at least. So that is very, very, very exciting news. Thank you so much to Andrea Ramirez, Michael Langer, Big C, Night Runner Prime, Michael Roberts, Tim Gruber, and Darin Douglass. Again, thank you so much for your continued support. We really, truly appreciate it. And before we get into things today, we want to thank and welcome Jane, not Victoria, Richard Lindsley, Louise Murphy, and Chris Perry to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. We are so excited to have your support, and your generous contribution means so much to us. Thank you again. In this episode, we're talking about chapters 43 and 44 of Towers of Midnight.
Yeah, chapter 43 is Some Tea, and chapter 44 is A Backhanded Request.
That is some tea.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done a double chapter, but I'm glad we're doing these two together because they're kind of like filler chapters, but there's important stuff that we need to get it done and over with so that we can move on. Yeah.
There's been a lot of action.
Yes, there has been.
A lot of things going on. There's also been a lot of action in our lives.
Yes,
a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
And so, even though we missed the release last week, now you get rewarded.
With a double episode.
I get rewarded. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see how rewarding it feels after we're done here today. But
it'll be an episode.
Like I said, we're going to talk about these chapters.
You know what? There are some things that are really funny.
That's true.
I enjoyed reading them.
Yeah, and they're not long. I'm glad that they didn't drag on and on forever and ever.
In terms of, having literary discussion around these chapters.
We're
limited.
Gonna stretch. We're gonna reach
limited
for it
for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, with the show and everything happening, season 3, we're in the middle of it.
Yep.
We got lots of things going on.
Yeah, so let's jump into this. And with the fun fact, I figured we should talk about Bearlane because she is a smitten kitten.
Oh,
yeah. She's a hawk or whatever. Don't even care.
I just love how literal Perrin is. What's the difference?
That's next chapter. We're not even talking about that yet. Don't. That's one of the funny parts.
The difference between a falcon and a hawk. I was like, hey, I asked that question.
I know that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some real world inspiration for her name. And it's a little bit interesting here, at least to me, maybe not to you. But so Bearlane Serpendrag Perron.
Okay, and you're sure we haven't done this before?
Yes, I'm sure.
Because I feel like we've done this before.
I've done it for lots of names.
Okay.
Not Bearlane, from what my notes.
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I checked.
Okay, keep talking.
I have a master list, and I checked, and I didn't see it.
Master list.
Yeah, I didn't see it pop up, but it's possible that
people want to see your master list. I bet.
Yeah, I mean, there's 400 and something.
People want
fun
that.
Facts. Yeah,
I don't, but other people definitely do.
I'll print it out and bind it. And
I'll email it to you as a PDF.
There you go. All right, so Bearlane, so her first name, Bearlane, is likely derived from Elaine. Bearlane, Elaine, get it?
Okay, yeah.
Of Corbinic, which is from the Arthurian myths. And apparently, Elaine of Corbinic was also very beautiful.
Okay, but I'm sure that you also mentioned Elaine from King Arthur when we were talking about Elaine.
This is different, not to be confused with Elaine of Astolat. That's a different lady. It's a different lady.
It's a different Elaine?
This is a different Elaine, okay?
Beautiful and royal?
It's a different lady. Jeez, I even put it in my fun fact, not to be confused with. It was right now. I was going to say it.
Well, I'm glad that you're prepared.
So this Elaine, in the story, tricked Lancelot into sleeping with her. Lancelot thought that it was Guinevere, who Egwene gets her name from.
You know what?
Yeah.
I hate when that happens.
And, well, it was
when I am tricked.
It was a thing.
Into sleeping with someone.
He was furious.
Oh, I would be too.
So then she became pregnant with Lancelot's son, Galahad, who Galad is named after. Which we've talked about. We've talked about that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about the Guinevere, Alvire. That's where the name comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, it's often thought that she's overlooked and ignored, this Elaine, not the other Elaine that you confused.
Sure.
This Elaine is often overlooked and ignored because of the moral ambiguity of her actions. She doesn't fit into the neat categories of female characters because she's neither good nor evil, but something in between.
I'd say that's pretty evil.
Well, that one thing that she did that one time, maybe, sure, a little bit morally ambiguous.
I would say it's
there
a
were
lot
other
more
stories.
than that, but that's just my
Moving
personal
on.
take on that.
Moving on. Okay. We know that Pendrag comes from Pendragon, the Arthurian myth. We're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
Because I did that with Archer Hawkling, and you probably remember all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, her last name, Perron, her last name is likely derived from, I'm going to butcher this name, it's a real person, Maria Eva Duarte de Perron, which was a very popular First Lady of Argentina from 1946 to 1952.
Okay.
Yeah, and just remembering that Berylaine's title is the first, and she's named after the First Lady of Argentina.
Okay.
I like it. Yeah, apparently she was a politician, activist, actress, philanthropist, and married to the Argentine president Juan Perón.
Argentinian.
Yeah, Argentine.
Argentine?
Argentine.
Okay.
From Argentina.
Oh, yes.
The president of there.
Yeah.
Perón.
Oh.
Very close.
Huh, how about that, huh?
How about that? Moving on. Makes you wonder, right?
So many things.
Maybe. Okay.
Thanks for Googling that for us.
You're welcome. There was actually like a lot of stuff. It was a whole thing. The one time I actually cut down some of the fun facts about this lady. There was something like 3 million people showed up to her funeral.
Whoa.
Yeah, in Buenos Aires or something. I can't remember.
Argentina, yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of people. It was a big deal.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, you don't even care about that. Let's talk about some tea. The chapter, some tea.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, okay.
Because the chapter symbol is a bird. A falcon? Is that the falcon?
Yeah, it's Fail.
Okay.
Yeah. See, Fail is the falcon.
Oh, gosh, okay.
It means falcon.
Got it. Okay, so we are going to start chapter 43 in Galad's perspective.
Mm.
We have Perrin and Galad having a walk and talk, and it goes on and on and on and on, and in the end, we're going to be friends, turns out.
Yeah, okay, that's is a good summary.
That's the chapter.
That's what happened. Well, that's the perspective.
That's the perspective.
That takes approximately 3 pages.
Okay.
Let's go over a couple things. So,
sure.
If we recall, because it's been a while since we last recorded, we just fought off all the Trollocs, and then Perrin rescued Galad and his White Cloaks, and now Galad's like, oh, thanks, I guess. So now we have...
Also, Byer's dead.
Byer's dead because Dane killed him.
Yep.
Yeah, and now Perrin is talking to Galad about how the fact the Ashaman are claiming that Sidene is now clean. The taint is gone.
Yeah, why would they lie?
I love that too, because like devil's advocate here, Perrin's like, why would they lie? I can think of a lot of reasons.
So many reasons.
Why they would lie.
Yeah.
First off, they're crazy.
Perrin
How about that?
Exhibits some very, very literal and concrete thinking.
Uh-huh.
In these 2 chapters.
Yes.
I think like more than normal for Perrin.
Yeah.
Because I really noted it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, Perrin.
We don't have any interpretation of
anything.
Yeah. Well, because Galad has a very fair point, because he's like, because they're insane, so they're saying that they're not. That's the first thing that an insane person does.
Yeah, it says they're not insane.
They're not insane. That's an indicator right there.
And my kids all the time, when I'm like, you're dirty, you need a bath. They're like, no, I'm clean.
Liars, see?
I don't need a bath.
Why do they lie? Because they don't want to take a bath. They don't want to take a bath. You want to know what's been going on in her household lately?
Got to bribe them with popsicles to get into the bathtub.
There you go. I'm pretty sure we've mentioned that like years ago too.
Yeah,
It's still going on. We never broke that habit.
It's a good one.
Okay.
It's fine.
Anyways, Galad's thinking, this Perrin guy, if he is a dark friend, he's a weird one. because of how straightforward Perrin is. Like, Galad actually likes talking to him.
Well, because Galad is also a very black and white thinker. And it's weird for him to encounter someone else who's just saying everything they think.
But now Galad's got like the dissonance there where it's like, maybe he's playing the really, really long game of being a dark friend. Like, there's a lot of...
The longest game anyone's ever played.
Yeah, and in fact, it turns out...
It's basically Risk.
Yeah. Forever and ever. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so anyways, Perrin says the Ashlemen have earned the right to be trusted because, like, until something changes, we like the Ashlemen. They're good guys for now.
Yeah, they're doing good stuff for us at this point.
Yeah. Plus, the White Cloaks probably owe them their lives, so, like, let's go with that, too.
There is also that point.
Yeah, we could say we're going to trust them for now, so that's kind of where we land right now at the beginning of the chapter.
Yeah, okay, so now Perrin wants to know, hey, Galad, what's your plan?
Yeah.
What are you going to do now that we saved your butts?
Because, like, I left here already.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave here again. Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, probably go to Andor.
Yeah, to my estate. So, like, how is Elaine going to like this? Because we talked about this already, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was his plan originally. Like, I'll show up in Andor, and then if that gets weird, I'll just go to my estates.
Yep.
And, like, why would Elaine want all of these White Cloaks in Andor again?
Probably won't.
Can you just show up? Like, I don't know.
I think you can.
I guess if you just show up.
White Cloaks actually are allowed to show up wherever they want.
If you just show up, what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm. Not like it, but that's okay.
Yeah. Okay, but distraction. Because Perrin freezes.
Oh, and all of a sudden he's like, I gotta go look at something else.
His little ears go like a little puppy dog, just like, oh.
Oh, because he can hear things.
Yeah. And then Galad follows him because Perrin doesn't explain anything.
No, of course
And then he starts like moving dead Trollocs. It turns out
some guy trapped underneath there.
There's a White Cloak trapped under there who's very happy now that he's been found and is not gonna die.
Right.
Yeah. Except Galad has that thought. He's like, oh man, this dude has a really bad side wound, so he's still gonna die.
And then he's like, wait a minute.
We have channelers.
We have channelers who we aren't immediately executing.
This is crazy.
It's crazy because we have healing now, and that's a cool thing.
Amazing. And if this guy, Perrin, is a dark friend, he's definitely a weird one, saving this White Cloak guy. I don't really understand the game yet.
Oh, it's just to gain my trust.
Right. Ooh.
Yeah. Also, good hearing.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about that.
Okay, anyway, so this guy gets healed.
Well, hold on.
And then they resume their conversation
about
going off to Andor.
There is an interesting part about the healing.
Is there?
So, well, a little bit, because Galad has insisted that each child of the light, each White Cloak, has a choice to be healed or not, regardless of the severity of the wound.
I'm on board.
It's consent.
I like it.
Yeah. And now the kid basically like passes out, so Galad has to give authorization for the healing to take place.
Yeah.
So I'm actually on board with that too. Like, that's a decent rule.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's taken enough time in this book series.
Yeah, you can't just walk up and like heal people
if they want to be healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's healed and now we can keep going.
Okay, so they want to go to Andor and blah, blah, blah. Are you guys comfortable traveling through gateways? Because we can get you there right away. You should just do it, come with us, do it, come with us, do it, come with us.
Yeah.
Just
but hey,
just do it.
The White Cloaks aren't going to like that very much.
It doesn't matter, just do it.
You know, you've already done all these things. Like,
Who
it's
cares?
just walking through a little magical portal.
You're going to fight beside the Aes Sedai anyway.
Right.
Just come do this.
Can we just do this, please?
Can we just?
Okay, but first we need an oath. Yeah, okay, and it's a little bit audacious because we've got Perrin having the Lord Captain Commander of the Children of the Light swearing an oath to obey anybody, number one. Second of all, Perrin, who could be a dark friend and also is a killer because he killed some White Cloak.
Oh,
this is a little bit insane.
Morgaze even said killer.
Oh, killer, but you know.
Sure.
So
I'll swear an oath to you.
It's a lot, but he does it.
Yeah, he's going to accept Perrin as his military commander until the end of the last battle.
Yeah,
because I think Galad was a little bit shaken by the ineffectiveness of the White Cloaks as an army.
Yeah, he is still reeling from that. As he would
like look around and be like, "Oh man, these guys kind of suck."
Yeah,
yeah.
Then he
saw Perrin's group doing very well.
Right.
So
that's exactly what a dark friend would do, though. You got to remember that.
I know.
Got to remember that.
Well, there's less now of Bayar saying that.
That's true. So maybe we'll get... It's just Galad's thoughts. He is still a little bit back and forth of like, he's not really sure what to make of things. He's just... Everything's being questioned right now. So he's got to figure out his new normal, I guess.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah,
Which I'm fine with.
Galad having to
I'm
figure it
fine
out.
with Galad like figuring some stuff out and
He
not
does
just
need
being
to.
like a stick in the mud
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair.
Okay, now we're gonna perspective change to Alejandra, and have we ever been in Alejandra's perspective before?
This felt new to me.
It might be new. If we have, it's not a lot, I don't think.
Yeah,
Like, we've seen Alejandra enough, but I don't really know.
like maybe when we first met her.
At
or
this
something.
moment, I can't think of a time
feels
specifically.
New.
I could find out
Oh,
very
are you doing
quickly.
it? You're finding out?
Okay, my very quick search turned up nothing, so I think this might be the first one.
I think so.
Yeah. It's a little confusing because I don't really know what the whole blue silk thing is. Like, is it a metaphor? I don't know. We'll get to it though. Like she sees, there's like a whole thing with like she's sorting laundry or whatever, or like cutting up clothes for bandages.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's just exactly what it sounds like.
Okay, like I wasn't sure if it's supposed to be like a metaphor because then she's
No.
like making a little pile of like clothes that are a little bit too nice to be turned into bandages.
Yes.
And then she's like, oh, this will make a good, I don't know, it's like a sash or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking for something more meaningful.
I don't think there's anything more meaningful than
Okay.
she just likes nice fabrics and doesn't want them to go to bandages.
Okay, I can accept that. I just didn't know. I was looking for more.
Wow.
I don't know. It wasn't a
No.
lot to go off. I thought we were
I
doing
actually had no idea what you were talking about.
until I said it, but now you know.
And I was like, oh, no. She just
Yeah.
likes nice clothes.
See, the thing is, when I initially did the notes for this too, I was really digging for things to talk about.
Oh.
Because it was such a short chapter.
Yeah, and it was going to be one chapter.
It was going to be like 5 minutes of
Yeah, and
recording.
you're like, ooh, let's talk about this blue silk she loves so much.
Well, it's something that I don't really know. I never really thought about, but I guess it's
It's
okay.
just material she
Shoot.
likes.
I hope
believe.
somebody comes up with a much more elaborate
Oh,
thing.
I can if you want.
Not really, but
Okay.
you know,
You know I can.
in this moment,
I can
no.
come up with...
Later, I'll
so
be
many
more
good
interested.
things.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so Alejandra's in the camp, and she's with other women and Guy Shine, and they're doing the folding laundry and bandages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So she overhears a conversation between Fail and Berylane, and I think that the most confusing part about this being in Alejandra's perspective is I'm not really sure why
Yeah.
we're having an outside perspective when the entire perspective is basically just Alejandra attempting to interpret this conversation.
Yeah, but not really understanding it because she
Having
also
no
thinks
idea.
like I don't really know exactly why they're acting like best friends because like
I know they're not.
Yeah,
And-
they're fooling some people, but I'm not fooled. But then there's all these little subtle things, and she doesn't really pick up. Maybe just for that sake. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so Berylane is like, hey, is the battle over? And they're just putting on this performance, according to Alejandra.
Yeah, and they're
having
kind
this
of
conversation in front of people, I
and
guess.
like being sort of cryptic about Perrin, and that's also confusing. But then she is eavesdropping too hard, and then like notices that she's gonna get noticed, and then she's trying to act all innocent and stuff.
It's weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's tricky.
Okay. Now, Berylane and Fail don't continue their conversation.
Yeah, and I
then
think it's because she's like,
Berylane walks off looking frustrated.
yeah, because like, are they being listened in on, and they don't want to be listened in on?
Or was that it?
Or was that just it? And they're putting on this performance a little bit when they can, and then they're kind of leaving because
Yeah.
they don't actually have a friendship. Like,
Yeah. It might be
It's-
that.
yeah, that's why this perspective is so weird.
Yep.
Like, it's kind of unusual.
Yeah. But Alejandra goes over to Fail and is like, I know, I'm going to do some digging.
Yeah,
Hey, Fail, Berylane looks pretty unsettled. Why do you think that is?
yeah, yeah,
And Fail's like, well, Berylane isn't used to being wrong.
yeah. And she sees, like, she does have a good point where Berylane has grown up in this, like, conniving and scheming political landscape, and then being thrown into Perrin's world of just saying stuff. It's a little bit like you're
She
not.
sees the world like
It's too complex. It's too complex for
well,
what
that's kind of
Perrin
like
is.
what Galad is doing with Perrin also.
Yeah, like you're trying to read a bunch of stuff into a dude who's not that complex in
Yeah.
a good way.
Yeah.
Like in a nice
guess
way,
so.
he's not trying to be subtle and scheming.
Sure.
He's just saying what he thinks.
I actually do appreciate that about Perrin.
Yeah.
I appreciate that about people in life.
In real life
In
too.
real life.
Yeah.
He's just kind of dull to read about, okay?
Yeah, in a fantasy about magic and wars, and then you have Perrin.
Yeah, and then you got Perrin.
Yeah. So anyways, File's like, yeah, it's not going to help Berylane figure out Perrin.
And then Alejandra's gonna stick up for Berylane.
Yeah, like a little bit here.
And then Faile gets annoyed about that, but then Berylane was never actually in love with Perrin. She just like wanted to use him to get closer to the Dragon Reborn.
And that's what Faile was saying.
Yeah, she might just do that anyway. And Faile right now is giving Alejandra a lot of information.
Yeah, of like why she was actually annoyed with Berylane. Like it would be better if she actually liked, loved, cared about Perrin and not just used him.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's always been very Berylane has always been very upfront about forming political connections too. Yeah. And I appreciate Berylane as a character.
Well, I also think too that Faile has also grown up a little. She's matured, and since they've started interacting with each other, I think that Berylane has always been the same with the same motives.
Yeah.
And Faile is just now kind of starting to understand that.
Yeah, because I mean, reading back or thinking back to book 3 when they were both in the Stone of Tyr competing for Perrin, I'm pretty sure we heard Faile thinking like, oh, I'm going to beat Berylane by getting with Perrin.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that was a thought she had.
Yeah. Well, and notoriously young.
Right.
So
I don't know.
Maybe the immaturity of like that.
That happens too. Yeah. And I think it was during this thing where so Alejandra finds the blue silk or whatever. And I was like, is this a metaphor for like more of this argument conversation?
No.
Where she doesn't want to ruin this good silk?
No, I think that's just Brandon Sanderson trying to channel a little Robert Jordan into the descriptive writing.
Ladies, always be liking clothes and stuff.
You know those ladies.
If they're not shopping,
they're finding clothes in piles.
Picking out the silks for the bandages.
I mean, I would. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Ladies.
Okay. So let's interrupt this now because Perrin's gonna trump on over here. So now we have Alejandra leaving because now Perrin is here with Faile so they can talk.
But then Alejandra's gonna go over to Berylane. It's like she's like playing Big Brother or something.
Right.
She's trying to get the intel on both sides.
But she is. She's literally doing that. Okay, so let's go over this conversation now.
Okay, so Alejandra's like, well, they are good for each other.
Right. Okay.
And Berylane's like, yeah, every relationship does deserve to be challenged, though.
Yeah, and okay, so she's got a good point too, and I appreciate this one, as like it's pretty harsh, but she says it was a real possibility that Faile would like die in Malden or never come back, so Perrin would have needed somebody, and she would have stepped into that role.
And like, rude.
Okay, he was unwashed and sleeping under a wagon when Faile was captured, and Berylane was doing her best. She stopped playing games with him. Like, she stopped the chasing because he was doing so bad that it was impacting everyone.
Yeah.
He was not doing good. Perrin needs somebody.
Okay, so it wasn't for love. We're just like, at this point, we're like, oh, that poor Perrin. He really needs a woman to help him.
He does, though.
I know.
You know, as so much as...
It's so bad.
It is, but Perrin's bad. That's the...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, but, okay.
Yeah, plus she would have liked that connection to the Dragon Reborn, but there's always other opportunities for that. Because
Galad is Elaine's half-brother.
And Alejandra is really stretching a little about the relationship that Rand has with Elaine.
Yeah.
Because we know that they, quote, have a relationship, even though I think it's stupid.
Sure.
But she's pregnant.
Right.
With his kids, which he doesn't even know about yet. And at this point, Berylane's just thinking it would be a good idea if Rand connected himself to Elaine.
Yeah.
And then in that, I would connect myself. And so she's like...
Well, Berylane's also trying to figure out a reason why she can reasonably be in a relationship with Galad.
Yeah, because it's not about love.
No, it can't be about love. Because that's Alejandra's question. What about love in a relationship? But Berylane's saying that you can't have love with people who rule because you got to do the strategic relationships and romance. And it's romance, you can't have it. There's no time for this. No time.
She must care for Mayenne first.
Yes. Yeah, because Tyr's always trying to steal our land and stuff.
And romance is an unaffordable distraction.
Can't do it.
Cue Galad entering where they are.
Yes, because immediately gets distracted because Galad is so beautiful. So now we got to figure out a reason why.
Battle-worn.
He is. Even though Battle-worn, still beautiful.
Yep.
And then she forgets what she's talking about. This is actually a hilarious scene, too. Because they're both so bad. So for people who are so beautiful, they're so bad at the talking and saying things when each other are so close. Brain shuts off.
They're
Can't
just
think.
so beautiful.
Can't think about it.
They can't do it.
Yeah. So we've got Galad coming up and saying, "Oh, I heard about you talking to Perrin about me.
saving me or
Thanks.
something."
That's nice." And then Barrelane's like, "Oh, yeah, I thought he was going to attack. I was afraid of that." And Galad's like,
yeah, me too, kind of.
Me too, man. And then we got this weirdest tea offering
Want some tea?
And then...
But then Alejandra has to, like, pour it? Or,
well,
like,
no, Barrelane already has tea. Barrelane already has tea, but Galad, like, goes in to pour more tea, so then there's now more teacups than people who need them, and then they both are like, "Hey, want to get out of here?" So then they all start passing their teacups to Alejandra, who's now got a bunch of teacups, and then Barrelane and Galad go wander over to go work on bandages together, and Alejandra's like, "Dang, now I got like 3 cups of tea,
it's so
and
weird,
I got this
so
blue
like,
silk shirt." Is the blue silk shirt a metaphor?
Nothing.
For it's relationships?
Nothing. Stop asking.
I don't know. Okay.
Anyway, she just hopes all this works out so she can get those blasted white cloaks out of her country.
Yeah, I do love that too.
You know, Alejandra, I'm sorry. I really don't think you have a country.
This is her country. She's the liege lady or whatever. Perrin's the liege lord to her. I can't remember how that works.
Yep.
He's her liege lord.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's her country, sort of, still.
I really don't.
As long as Perrin allows her to remain in charge of it.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, which he will, because it's Perrin.
So she's going to stay behind.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's still the queen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, like...
where's she going to go, though?
Hierarchically under Perrin now.
Yeah.
Right.
Does she even have a palace?
Yeah. Right?
I don't think so. I don't even know where she lives. I don't even know what's going on.
Okay, no time for that now.
That was an Alejandra perspective.
Did that feel good? Was that good for you?
It was okay.
Okay.
That's it. That was that chapter.
Yeah.
Now, good thing we have another chapter to talk about here.
Let's take a break. Reset.
Okay, good. Sounds good.
And then we'll do the next one.
Okay, so we are back, and we're going to talk about chapter 44, a backhanded request.
Mm-hmm.
And the chapter symbol is a blacksmith puzzle because everybody else is very confusing.
Yeah, to Perrin. Perrin has to figure out.
Doesn't get it.
Everybody are so
will
confusing.
Never understand other people.
Oh, nope.
So, randomly, a Morgaze perspective.
Not random.
So random.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah.
It's so random.
I mean...
it's like, let's wrap this up, I guess.
Yeah.
Before we move on.
You're welcome.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
It does, though. It does. So let's talk about that. Okay, well, we're not going to talk about that yet. First, we have to talk about Morgaze, because she's wandering through the camp here, thinking about a whole bunch of stuff. And some of it is important, because, first off, the country is kind of going to shit, because the weather's really bad, and the last battle's coming. Farms are failing.
Andor?
Well,
like
just
her
like the
country, or just like
everywhere
just
here,
everywhere,
and everywhere in Andor is also going to be like farms are going to be failing all over the place. So she is worried about her nation, but it's like, oh wait, it's not my nation anymore.
Right.
It's Elaine's nation. So
yep.
the whole theme here is don't overshadow Elaine. But we're going to circle back to that.
Okay.
We also have to think about the rift that's between her and Fael now.
Yeah, Fael's mad at her, and she wishes that she wasn't.
Yes, she does wish that. And now everybody's got a place in the camp except for her, because she's not like a servant anymore, but she's also not really a queen, but she's not just
nobody knows how to treat her, and it's super awkward and weird all the time.
Yeah, and she's not like a simple noble woman. Like, nobody knows what to do. And
she's like, I actually kind of liked it when I had a purpose, pouring tea.
Yeah,
I had something to do.
And she could be with Talonvor, but not anymore. Not anymore. We can't. That's the other thing. So there's a couple things we need to point out. First off, Fael released so like Brienne and Lamgwin from service, so they can all serve Morgaze again. So like that whole crew is no longer serving Perrin and Fael. Yep. They're back
Same
to
with
under
Balwer too, or do you think Balwer's still Perrin's secretary?
Balwer is different.
Okay.
Balwer was never directly.
No, I know
Morgaze.
That, but like
Balwer's
don't
still
know
with
that.
Yeah. But like
as far as they're concerned, they all were together.
Yeah, the
right?
Andor people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Morgaze knew who Balwer was.
No, I know that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Okay, yeah.
Not yeah. So now she's telling all of her people that it's time for them to go back to Caemlyn and then offer Elaine
whatever assistance that she needs.
Yeah, and I love Linny's response because she's like, I think anybody who lets two roosters in the same barn deserves the ruckus they get.
Yeah.
So it's like Morgaze and Elaine are the two roosters.
I get it. I got it.
They shouldn't be they shouldn't be there together. Ruckus. Because Morgaze
won't be able to just take a step back.
If you recall, she used to be queen.
No.
Yeah, not anymore.
I actually think she still is.
But, that's just me.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear her say it. But Morgaze has a really solid plan, though, so don't worry.
I actually don't mind her plan.
Well, she's like, okay, if I start to step on toes, I'm just going to leave.
I'm going to go.
I'll go.
Yeah, I'll know right away.
I'll be
that
super.
I'm overstepping.
Yeah, I'll know. I'll be like, oh, Morgaze, wow, overstepped there.
I am so self-reflective.
So good.
I'm the most self-reflective. And
yeah.
So I'll know immediately.
Yeah.
If I'm overstepping.
She'll know.
Yeah.
100%. See, that's funny because
she won't know.
It's like she won't know. Yeah. Okay, now we got to get Talonvor coming down here.
Yep.
And he is all sad and mopey, and so is Morgaze because they can't be together anymore.
Sure.
Yeah, so he went to Whitebridge because he's got family there.
Oh, yeah, so officially that is where they are.
Well, yeah.
Remember when I was maybe they're not.
Ooh, what if it's not Whitebridge?
Yeah, because Paradise like, over there looks like it could be Whitebridge. I was like, that's too cryptic. That's weird.
Yeah, I definitely didn't say that. Okay, that was not what he said, but it's
basically what he said.
It's Whitebridge.
It's exactly the words in the book.
I recalled it.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so Talonvor went, and he's all being super formal with Morgaze, and Morgaze is all annoyed because, like, why are you being super formal? And then Talonvor's like, because we got to be formal. We can't be together anymore, and you know that. We got to do what's best for the country and the nation, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, anyways.
And then he's like, also, Elaine still thinks you're dead.
Right, that's the news on the street. So we should
probably go sooner than later.
Yeah.
Because she should know that you're not.
Yeah,
dead.
And he has a really good point because if the court, the nobles, find out that Morgaze is alive, but then there's no official, anything, then it's going to be stepping on toes. That whole thing that Morgaze was just like, I'm going to know if I'm stepping on toes.
It's going to make all of Elaine's succession war success in trouble.
Moot. It's like a moot point.
Yeah.
Right.
It could mess things up.
It could. It definitely would. It would, for anyone who wanted to cause problems, they would use it to cause a problem too. So that's the other side.
So let's go tell them you're not queen, Elaine is.
And then Morgaze is super annoyed because like, you're telling me that we got to go back? Look, I'm already getting everybody prepared to do
going.
That. Jeez, don't you know that? And then there's like more back and forth because like, our relationship was only an illusion that it has to be at an end because everyone knows who you are again.
And you definitely can't be with me, a lowly soldier.
Well, no, not even that, but Morgaze has an opinion about if she has any more children, then they would potentially be a threat to Elaine's rule if, it's like succession,
I
and
suppose
all that.
So.
And like technically, probably, but like...
So?
Yeah.
Also.
Right.
Don't
have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have any more.
I mean...
How old is she? God.
Oh, I'm just kidding. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's actually not even that old at all.
No, she's like, I think mid-40s is where she's kind of like landed.
Yeah, I feel like even 40s, less than that.
Yeah, like she's not that old. And Morgaze...
Because in a moment, we're going to find out that at 18, Morgaze was properly married.
Right, yeah.
Which is young.
Yeah.
And then, so she was already having kids at 18.
Well,
right?
Well, not necessarily having kids at 18.
Probably.
That's
properly
what happens.
Married. That's what happens immediately after marriage in olden times.
Yeah, but it also takes anywhere from 6 months to 2.5 years for kids to actually be born. So, yeah, it's like a little bit of a time frame there. A little bit of a time gap. So, anyways, long story to close this off here. Morgaze is like, I can't afford to love anyone. Because
so dramatic.
Of all these reasons.
Well, and maybe.
I mean, a little bit. And then Talonvor walks away.
Plus, you know what, Talonvor? You've never even asked.
You didn't even ask.
You didn't even ask if I would have you. You just assumed.
Talonvor, you dummy.
Yeah.
But he would never do that, see, because that would put...
This is very, soap opera.
A little bit.
I actually see it as this very over-dramatic acting.
Right. I like that better.
In this, turn away, but not really.
Yeah.
And then come stomping back.
Talonvor's like, I could never put you in that position because I know you have to turn me down for the good of Andor.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not queen anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get where they're coming from, but it's just, it's a whole,
the
they're
should
so dramatic.
and the want and the sacrifice.
I've
and,
sacrificed so much for Andor already. When is it going to be my turn to love somebody?
Oh my gosh, because I couldn't marry Bryn and I couldn't marry ToM
all
when
these
I
people.
wanted. And I married Terengale and that guy sucked, I think.
And then Talonvor's like, but what about Duty? And then she's like, Duty can get in line.
Duty can kiss my butt.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and that, before you know it, they're smooching. And then Linny comes up and she's like, okay, you kids.
You dang kids, you can't be smooching.
We're going to go find Lord Perrin right now.
You can't be smooching out of wedlock.
Oh, no way, no way.
That is out of Linny's
not doing that.
concept of
life.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Margaret is saying, like, nah, Perrin already tried to force marry us, and we're not doing that.
I'm not getting forced married.
Yeah.
I'm only getting married if I want to get married.
Yeah, and then Lydia's
Which I do. Talonvor, you want to ask me to marry you now?
You still didn't ask Talonvor. Get on your friggin' knee, bud.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then he does.
Yeah, so Lydia's got a good point, because she's like, we're not going to wait till we're in Camelin for you to get married, because, like, you being like, hey, everyone, I'm not dead, also I'm going to marry this guy, that would be overshadowing.
Right.
That would be the overshadowing we're talking about avoiding.
Yeah.
So let's do the marriage here, right now, so when you go back...
You could be like, we're married.
And it's not even, it doesn't even matter, because you're not the queen.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay, but yeah, so Talonvor, he does ask, and that's nice, and now it's time to go find Perrin. I like it. I want them to be together.
It was very dramatic.
So dramatic.
It's like the most dramatic
romantic. I the drama?
It's the most romance we're actually getting.
Sure.
Apart from Egwene and Gawain.
Also
and then
romance.
Like Swan and Bryn. Like it's all in the...
Wheel of Time is not known for its romance plot lines. I don't think that's the thing that people are like, oh, I read Wheel of Time
for the romance.
This
is probably the best relationship that I've been rooting for.
Okay.
This whole time.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
So, do I like how
I'm trying to... Loyal and Aerith. Like, maybe, debatably, that would be the
only... If they don't go to the moon, yeah.
Right. As long as they don't go to the moon.
Back to their Ogier planet or wherever they're going.
Right. Okay. So now we can talk about the wedding, because now we got a perspective shift for the best.
Okay, also Galad and Berelain, I'm kind of rooting for them too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you though?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're actually going to like each other, and they're so hot. So
Right.
It's nice when hot people love each other.
It's good. You know, they have so little else going for them in life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best.
The leaders of countries and nations who are super beautiful and are royalty, they got like nothing else going for them. They need love.
Yeah, they do.
They need to love each other.
Well, everybody deserves love, Brett.
Right.
What are you, some kind of love hater?
No, never. Okay, let's do a perspective switch to Perrin.
Okay, Perrin.
Yeah.
He's investigating some bubble of evil weirdness.
Yeah, well, we saw something sort of like this before. Remember when that whole part of the city like turned to ash, but only when you touched it? There was like a whole section. This is kind of like that.
Okay.
Only now it's
vaguely.
It's all the whole forest like dried out overnight, and now it's just wood. So then Perrin's like, all right, go.
Free firewood.
Free fire. I
was like, hey, this looks like good wood.
Firewood factories hate this one simple trick.
Yeah, well, you know how much they try to charge for firewood?
That's so much, and there's a whole forest of free firewood right here.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what the problem with the free firewood is? It's never as good as the firewood you pay for. Because you've been sitting out all night, it's probably getting rained on.
No. This firewood, though?
Super dry.
Premium.
It's so dried out. It's amazing.
This is premium product.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
So let's not think about it, and let's just use it, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, now... I don't want to talk about all of the forges that Perrin has set up, but you probably do.
I do. Okay, you were going to try to skip it. Okay, so...
Well, I was going to talk about how they're making weapons, but like...
Well, yeah, so he's got like, 5 forges now? Like, he's got more forges, and he's got the channelers and the smiths working away to make power forged weapons, but we've got Grady and the Aes Sedai holding open a gateway to let the last group of non-combatants who want to leave him go to Camelin. So we've kind of got like split tasks right now. So he's still letting some people leave, and that's going to be relevant in a second here.
Sure.
Because there's the gateway to Camelin that's open right now. That's important.
Okay.
And then separately, we've got Nield, who hasn't been able to duplicate the Ma'alinir, like the hammer that Perrin made.
Okay.
He can't duplicate that super-powered magicalness.
No, but he can do little arrowheads and daggers and spear tips.
They can do, like, regular
weapons.
Power forged weapons, not like the super fancy ones that like burn shadow spawn and stuff like that do all the crazy extra stuff.
Okay, but ones that don't like dull.
Yes.
And have, like other special qualities.
And it's just really interesting because Perrin can still feel the warmth of his hammer, and then he thinks like, oh, he's thinking about Hopper during it, because there's a whole thing with the hammer forging that involved like Hopper.
Well, that's because there's like a little Hopper emblem on it.
Well, yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. Like his hammer is special.
Okay.
Nobody else gets to have a special hammer as Perrin does.
It's fine.
It's
and plus,
more special.
All those other makeshift forges suck.
They're the worst. This one was by Perrin. He's a master. Okay. Anyways, the IEO are like, whoa, we need these spear tips.
Yeah, they're the best.
Give me these. This is amazing.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah. And then Perrin separately has also sent a messenger to Elaine because they got to have a meeting.
Well, and if he's going to bring all these people into Andor and Camelin, and then they also have to talk about the whole Manetheren thing, because
the whole thing.
It really seems like he's doing something he really shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like just naming himself as a lord of somewhere that shouldn't.
That wasn't 100% up to him, though, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now we got Fael coming back.
From dealing with the money guy.
So do you remember this quartermaster?
No.
There was a whole side plot with him.
Don't care.
Bavin, sorry, not Bevin.
Oh
Bavin.
God, you idiot.
Oh, man, it's an A, not an E.
What?
All right.
Oh my God.
So Perrin's like, hey, Fael, I know you were just dealing with the quartermaster. I want you to keep an eye on him because I don't think he's particularly honest. And then Fael smells amused, and she's like, already dealt with him, because she knows that he's been like cooking the books. And we got a whole perspective where Fael was like, yo, stop cooking the books, you little, number fudger.
Little turd.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, okay, so she's already on top of it. But Perrin, he figured it out. Good for Perrin.
Okay.
He was a little bit slow on it, but he got there.
I don't remember that at all.
There was like a whole scene.
Don't remember.
And I was explaining like quartermaster.
Even.
I think the fun fact was like why it's called a quartermaster.
Don't care.
Oh man, okay. There's a whole thing.
Oh no, that's quarterstaff. I was about to say, isn't it? Because it's like a part of a tree.
I think I did that one too.
That's
Can't remember.
quarterstaff.
There's been so many fun facts.
Master of quarters.
Okay, Perrin's got other news.
Did you know that Berelain seems to like Galad?
And she's leaving him alone.
Leaving Perrin alone.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. And they did the whole publishing the proclamation thing.
Yeah.
About like, no, we didn't sleep together.
Right.
So that's good.
Stop the rumors.
Right. And this is the best
Thanks,
conversation.
Fael, for whatever you did. And feels like, hey, yeah, do you know the difference between a hawk and a falcon?
I love it.
And he's like, oh yeah, well, there's wing shape.
Basically, there's two schools
of thought. Yeah.
You got the wing shape. You got the size. And the falcons are like arrow-like.
And all that. And
I love it. He's so literal.
So literal.
So literal. And then
Fael goes, no. The difference between falcons and hawks are falcons are way better.
Yeah. No, okay. So the hawk
falcons are the best. That's what's the difference.
The hawk is better at hunting the rabbit. So Berelain's better at hunting Perrin, but the falcon is better at hunting the hawk.
Yeah, the falcon is best.
Falcon is best. Yeah.
Falcons beat.
And then Perrin's like, this might be a metaphor. I don't understand what she's talking about.
I'm the falcon.
There's no way to know. Hey, Perrin.
She's a hawk.
Remember when Min had a viewing and was like, yo, there's going to be a falcon and a hawk on your shoulder.
Don't remember that. Who's Min?
Yeah.
That's Berelain.
Yeah,
that's Perrin. Wait, what's man's animal?
Oh, man. Okay.
Is it the rabbit?
It could be.
Am I the rabbit?
Am I the rabbit? No, I'm not the rabbit. I'm the wolf. No wonder he's so confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we like her analogy because we're like, yeah, you are better.
It is funny. Okay. It's good. Okay. Now we can do this.
We're interrupted. Because Morghese and Talbot are coming up with Linny, and Fael knows exactly what's going on.
And then Perrin doesn't.
Has no clue.
Perrin's like, I thought they don't like each other anymore.
Yeah, I tried to make them get married before. They said
no. So are they still together? It doesn't even make any sense anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but no, they do still like each other. And then Morghese comes up. This is the backhanded request, by the way.
Okay.
Of the chapter title.
Got it.
Because she comes up and she says to Perrin, hey, you're the closest thing to a lord other than the Galad, and I probably shouldn't get my son to marry his mother, so I guess you'll do. And then Perrin's like, wow, rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, okay, listen. You're only sort of a lord because of Two Rivers.
And that's,
it's
you know,
part
but
of Andor.
you're not too bad. You're not terrible. You're okay.
And you still have to remain part of Andor.
Yeah. Well, she does say, like, hey.
Elaine might be able to give you a title.
Yeah, maybe I can talk to Elaine about all this stuff, but you got to remain a part of Andor. I like how File's like, hey, okay, like, sure, you can say a good word with Elaine, but, like, this isn't about you at all.
Yeah.
Like, you have no part in this conversation anymore, Morghese. Like, enough.
Although, Morghese, you know, she's really just trying to be helpful, and she would never step on toes.
No, she's not going to overshadow her daughter.
She would never overstep.
She would never do that. She would know immediately.
She would know immediately if she would overstep.
Yeah. But now let's get into this marriage because
okay, hey
this
Galad, come on over.
Yeah.
Want to see something?
Want to see your mom get married? And he gives like Talonvor the look, but it's like, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all okay. It's not actually weird. Like, it's fine.
Nope.
And then Perrin's like, hey,
what kind of ceremony do you want? Because I only know how to do the Two Rivers one.
And it's like, Perrin,
and it's like, do you even know how to do that?
This isn't the Two Rivers. I guarantee this is not the Two Rivers ceremony.
And then Morghese is like, oh, simple oaths are fine.
Yeah, let's keep it.
He's like, okay then.
I can do simple. Sure.
Yeah. So literal and concrete.
Yeah, so we got Talonvor and Morghese. We actually get like a page of lovely vows about bravery, dedication, loyalty, and butts, I think were mentioned.
I don't think butts were mentioned.
Maybe not in the version you had, but the version I had
butts.
Spiced it up a little bit because.
How about kissing eyelids?
Maybe.
Because that's the only thing I remember about their relationship at all.
I don't know if that was in there either. Anyway, so there was stuff.
I love kissing your eyelids.
Yeah, so they love each other and that's all nice. And this is the simplest of all simple things Perrin could say.
Okay, you're married. Off with you now.
Go away now. It's like, dude.
And then everyone's like, and then Fail's like, okay, well, we're going to have a party.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do this and this and this. And also, you're going to have to get way better at that.
Because, like, bro, that
sucked.
That was terrible.
And he's like, what are you talking about? That sucked.
They said simple.
That was...
I gave simple.
I couldn't even be any more simple.
That was the most simple I could do. I said, okay, you're married. What's wrong with that? And
like, don't worry, you'll do better next time. And he's like, what? Next time?
Yeah.
She's like, yep, that's kind of how this works now for you.
So it's party time. You can have a simple ceremony, but we're going to have a big party because the soldiers, we need something to celebrate.
Yeah.
We get a little number stamp, a camp count of how many people we got.
70,000?
About 70,000. But this is the funny part. There's a large portion of the group here that's former mercenaries and refugees who are training under Tam and Daniel, and they're calling themselves the Wolf Guard. And then Perrin's like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It's Perrin. So, you are the wolf.
Yeah, but they're not.
That's what a wolf.
Do you guys talk to wolves too?
All these guys talking to us crazy. Yeah, I don't know. These chapters just
it's
with
so
Perrin.
Funny. Yeah,
it's good. It's comic relief too. Okay, now we get into debatably the best part of the chapter.
I would agree.
It's fantastic.
Although I do like.
It's been pretty funny.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Now this is better.
This is pretty good.
And I'm so confused.
Why?
I just don't know what's happening.
Okay, so remember at the beginning of the sequence, I was like, Perrin has one. There's a gateway open to Camelin right now.
Okay.
And that's going to be relevant. So he's got refugees going through.
Yeah, at first I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the heck?
That's the part you skipped.
How'd you get... Because I even made a comment about Matt meeting up with Perrin.
Yeah.
Because they're near Whitebridge, which was sort of near
the
Tower of Genjai. And I was like, maybe on his way they're going to cross paths. And I sort of
You almost got there. I
sort of predicted this.
Yeah.
Except not at all.
Okay, so we got the comical scene of something hitting Perrin in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And then he's like, whoa, what was that? And then it happens again. And then he thinks that it's kids in the camp or something throwing acorns at him. But then he's like, whoa, what if it's a trap? And someone's like,
what
whoa.
if it's a bubble of evil?
What
if it's a Forsaken?
But it's just Matt who has a badger in a sack. And I love it.
Want to go release it on the green?
I love it. It's so funny too because Matt says oh, it's nostalgia.
Yeah. I just wanted to.
I just want to do it.
Yeah.
It's nostalgia, and it's 100% nostalgia for
us too.
For us too. Yeah. It's great. It's a great little scene. It's really funny.
Badger.
And then Perrin's like, wait, is there actually a badger in the bag? And he's like, yeah, it was really hard to catch, especially on short notice, because what has happened is Matt came through the gateway the other way, and that's why Perrin's like, how did he not get caught coming back through the gateway? Because like someone should be watching that probably.
Yeah.
So he came through the gateway because he heard that Perrin was in the area, and he's like, I'm not going to be able to talk to him unless I go find him. So he literally snuck through.
Good for
He's
Matt.
talking to Perrin.
Yeah.
And now he's like, hey,
Very
man.
proactive of Matt.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so he gives him a couple warnings. He's like, yo, everyone knows you're here. People are trying to kill us. I don't know if you know that. So, like, be super careful. Be more careful than you're being right now. And then we got to talk about stuff, but we can't do it here. Let's go meet up at an inn called the Happy Throng in Camelin.
Okay.
And we'll talk there later on. And by the way, I'm going to need to borrow an Ashaman or two because I need a gateway.
I need a gateway. And Perrin's like, oh, I guess I could just travel somewhere to talk to my bros.
Yeah,
This whole time, I haven't done that even one time.
Yeah, you have a mystical ability that Perrin thinks about. He's like, the colors aren't swirling around when we're close, and it feels really nice. It feels like a completeness.
That's better.
That's better. Yeah, no time for that now.
Yeah, and Matt's like, oh, just come meet up with me in Camelin.
Yeah.
And Perrin's like, oh, Camelin, it's so far away. How am I supposed to meet up with you in Camelin tonight?
Oh, shoot.
Oh, wait.
Gateways.
I never thought about actually traveling.
Yeah.
Through gateways.
Yeah.
Just myself.
Like, it doesn't have to be a big thing where you like.
Yes.
You can just open it and go.
Yeah.
Open it and go.
Open it and go.
There you go. So yeah. So Matt has come through the Camelin refugee gateway. Perrin is confused how he didn't get caught, but it's Matt.
Well, and I like how Matt is all done up.
Oh yeah.
In his fine coat and all this, and Perrin notes. Wasn't it Matt who was making fun of Rand for wearing fancy coats?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm,
yes, it was.
Yes.
Matt likes nicer things now.
Yeah, and then Perrin's like, what are you doing here?
Right.
And Matt goes, catching badgers.
Catching badgers. There we go.
Yeah.
So then Matt goes back through the gateway, back to Camelin. Perrin can go meet up with him later or whatever.
Yeah.
But we're going to leave there for now. And then Perrin is left to untie the sack.
Ease the badger.
And ease the badger. Easing the badger.
Right.
There you go.
Turns out it's just that's what you do.
A little nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because badgers don't like being put in bags.
No kidding.
Turns out. So, here's the real question. What could Matt need an Asherman to make a gateway for?
Go to the Tower of Genjai. Duh.
Oh my goodness.
Because Varen, gone.
We're so close.
She's not coming back. And we're not going to read her letter, I guess. I don't know. I really, that was so anticlimactic for me, that whole letter thing from Varen.
Sure.
Maybe we'll still get it at some point. Maybe he will.
You're
read
saying
it.
that like it's a question, and you're looking at me with like questioning eyes.
Has it been long enough?
For him to read the letter?
Yeah.
If he was going to read the letter, you think we would have read it by now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
I kind of forgot it existed.
Yeah, okay.
And isn't he supposed to not leave Camelin?
Well, because if he reads a letter, then he has to do what the letter asks. That's the problem.
Or he could just not.
Yeah, but you're only as good as your words. So.
Sort of. If you don't tell anybody that you did it.
I'm not the queen anymore.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You get it.
I get it. I get what you're saying.
Anyway, so it's all coming up Millhouse.
There we go. We had to have these chapters so we can move on to the next thing now.
Okay, so what you're telling me is we're not going to get 4 more of these chapters?
Probably not. We're definitely probably going to...
Because we're getting towards the end of the book now, aren't we?
We got to be at the Tower of Genjai soon.
How many chapters are in this book?
There are, I think it's 57 and an epilogue.
Okay, 14.
And we're at next chapter's 45. So whatever the math on that is, 12-ish, 13?
Yeah.
Whatever, something like that.
Okay.
One of them's got to be the Tower of Genjai, right?
Well, that's
Probably.
What's on the cover.
I understand that. I understand the cover.
That's what it really looks like.
Yeah.
They really, really, really
the
want
covers are known for their realism and correspondence to book chapters.
Ugh.
Okay.
Well, I'm excited to read on.
We're back to one chapter at a time, too.
Okay. That's fair.
All right.
That makes sense. Now, before you go ahead and use the magic at your disposal to meet up with your friend that you haven't seen in a long time, I'm going to say that this is part of the pattern now.
Yeah, it's part of the pattern.
Oh, and also get married.
Right.
Also before you get married.
Pattern.
Hey Hey, thanks so much for sticking around. That's the end of another fun episode. The Wheel Weaves is hosted and edited by Dani and Brett and produced by Dani and Brett with Passion Socks, Cody Feltz, Benjamin, Jamie Young, Megan, Jared Berg, Ricky Morissette, Adam, Mozyme, Michelle Forbes, MKM, Antoine Benoit, Lawrence Bradley, Colby T, Gabby Young, Rycat, Zane Sayaka, Matrix, Matt Truss, The Albatross, Bratimus Prime, Sarah Creech, Sims, and Saverio Bartolini. With music by Audionautics. Now, everyone, please be sure to go check out our Patreon page if you are interested in supporting us and the podcast. We'd love to send you some Patreon-exclusive merchandise as a thank you, plus you'll gain access to our episodes earlier than everyone else. And, at the time of recording, we have almost 50 bonus episodes for your listening pleasure. Find all that and more at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. As always, please be sure to give us a 5-star review because it really does make a huge difference in helping other people find us. And be sure to tell a friend, Riyadh, because referrals really are the best compliment. For general information about our show, like how to send us shot glasses, how to join our Discord, and how to get in touch with us, visit thewheelweavespodcast.com. Thanks again for listening. This really is part of the pattern now.